Hi, this is Amy Romeo from the jewelry making and craft blog, amyromeo.com, and today in this video I will be showing you how to make personalized keychains with permanent vinyl and Cricut Infusible Ink. If you haven't tried this product yet, you're going to love it. It seems intimidating, but it's really not. I'm going to show you exactly how it works. It basically applies very rich, vibrant color to a base that it is compatible with. And if that sounds confusing, don't worry, I'm going to walk you through all of it. These little name tags are great for school backpacks for back to school. They'd also make great gift tags at holiday time or stocking stuffers for teenagers. So if you're ready to get started, I can't wait to show you everything about this project. Let's dive right in. Let's go over the tools and materials I'll be using to make this Infusible Ink keychain project. So the first thing that you'll need is some Infusible Ink. Cricut sells it in all different colors, patterns, for holidays, solid colors, just pick whatever you like. And Infusible Ink needs heat, 400 degrees of heat, to transfer the ink onto the base, the sublimation ready base, which is going to be our keychains. So I'll be using my Easy Press for this project because the surface area is large and I can press these completely at one time with one pass. If I wanted to use my Easy Press Mini, you can see that it doesn't cover the entire surface at once, and you don't want to press in multiple passes. So I won't use the Mini for this. I'll use the big Easy Press along with my pressing pad to protect my surface. And you also need some butcher paper or parchment paper or a Teflon sheet to cover and protect both your keychain that you're pressing and your pressing pad, because the Infusible Ink will transfer everywhere, so you have to be careful. This butcher paper comes inside these packages of Infusible Ink, so when you open your package, don't throw this away. You're going to want to use this. If you don't have it, just use what you have in your kitchen, parchment paper, but be sure not to use wax paper. Wax paper does not work. You'll also be using some heat resistant tape. This is Cricut brand. This is going to help us tape the Infusible Ink sheets onto our blanks, and they'll stay in place, and that way the design won't shift while we're pressing it. And then these blanks are really fun. I got a bunch of them on Amazon. They have the white area is what you're going to press the Infusible Ink on or sublimate. The back is just a sort of faux leather. This one is a similar style with white on this side and glitter on the back. A bunch of these colors, and I'll link to where I got all of these blanks in the description box for you. Now these are also sublimation, but they're two-sided, and this is like an MDF or a hardboard inside, and then there's two sides that you can press on. So here you can see I've got one side pressed with Infusible Ink and the reverse also. And then these are really fun because they come with little colorful tassels and the keychain hardware. So I'll show you how to assemble these after we press these. I'll just be using two pair of flat nose jewelry pliers. You can use regular pliers you have in your garage, but I'll show you how to attach the keychain hardware. So after we press them, then I'm going to apply names on them with permanent vinyl. So here's an example. This is the Infusible Ink on the bottom and then permanent vinyl on the top. So you can use any permanent vinyl you want. You can use Cricut brand, you can use Oracle 651. You'll just need the permanent vinyl of your choice and also some transfer tape. If you're using Cricut brand, I recommend the standard grip transfer tape. I don't have any on hand right now. I only have strong grip, so I'll be using a different kind of transfer tape. But whatever transfer tape you like is the one that you should use. I'll be cutting the permanent vinyl on my Cricut. I'll be using the Maker, but you could use the Explore Air 2 or the Explore 3, the Maker 3, the Joy, a Silhouette. It doesn't matter, whatever machine you cut vinyl with. Because I'm using the Cricut, I'll be using a green standard grip cutting mat, and I'll be also using weeding tools to weed out the vinyl. I have a measuring tape to measure how large I can make my letters so they'll fit, some craft scissors, and also a scraper. This will help me put the names onto the keychains. So if you're ready to get started, I can't wait to show you how this works, and let's dive right in. So first we're going to apply the infusible ink to the sublimation blank or the keychain blank. A sublimation blank is what you're going to want to look for when you're looking for things that will accept infusible ink. Infusible ink is really just a type of sublimation ink which transfers the ink into the surface of the object instead of sitting on top like heat transfer vinyl or permanent vinyl does. So these keychain blanks you can find on Amazon. I'll leave a link for you. But anytime you want to use infusible ink, besides looking for Cricut blanks, you can search sublimation blanks. So let me show you how we're gonna get started with this. We need heat to transfer the ink from the infusible ink transfer sheets into the sublimation blank. So I've already got my Easy Press preheating to 400 degrees for 60 seconds. So while that's warming up, I want to show you just a few things about sublimation. The first is you need to have a heat pressing pad, and as you can see, I did cover my sheet, my heat pressing pad, with some extra parchment paper, but you can see that the ink seeps through. So it's really important. Now I've got a double layer of parchment paper just on the bottom to protect my heat pressing pad. The ink will transfer everywhere, so you want to protect all of your surfaces. So the infusible ink comes in rolls in these boxes, and it comes inside this black plastic liner, and I like to keep this and put the paper back in when I'm done unrolling it, just to keep it protected. This protects it from light and fading and things like that. So the colors, you'll notice, are much lighter on the paper than they are on the box. And that's totally normal. You're gonna be amazed at how much these colors brighten up when you apply the heat. It's the magic of infusible ink or sublimation. So I've already cut out a little piece here with my scissors, and what I did was I took my blank and I wanted to cut a piece of infusible ink transfer sheet that's just slightly larger than the blank. We need a little overlap, but not too much, because you don't want to waste the material. So the infusible ink transfer sheets, you don't want to touch them with oily hands, greasy hands, wet hands, dirty hands. You want to make sure your hands are nice and clean and dry before you touch this product. Also, I wanted to mention, you can run this through your Cricut and cut it and then weed away the design. A lot of people do that on t-shirts, coasters, lots of other infusible ink products and projects, but we're going to be making little tiny letters for this, so it's going to be easier for me to weed small letters out of vinyl than it is for me to weed it from infusible ink transfer sheets. But I wanted to let you know this is a very versatile product. I'm going to be using it just to make a solid background today, but you can absolutely make lots of other projects with this and weed away parts of the transfer sheet. Okay, so I've got this. Also wanted to show you inside is that extra butcher paper that you'll want to use as part of your project. So the Easy Press has warmed up. What I'm going to do now is tape the infusible ink transfer sheet onto my blank. This is a mermaid scale, so I want it to go a certain direction. So I'm going to think about that before I apply the tape. And then this is just the heat resistant tape, the Cricut brand. I put it in a little hedgehog tape holder. It's a little easier to grab the tape when it's in a tape holder. And what I'm going to do is just tape the sides. You don't need too much tape, but you don't want the transfer sheet to move around. That's going to create ghosting and weird lines and shapes on your blank. That's not what you want. You want a nice clean transfer of the design onto your blank, and the way you get that is by making sure that this is not going to move. So here's the back. Here's the back of our infusible ink transfer sheet, and it's taped securely onto the white part, which is where the ink is gonna penetrate. So face down, and I'm gonna take one of my pieces of butcher paper here, and I'm gonna cover it, and just take my Easy Press here, set it down, and press the button. So the Easy Press has beeped, letting me know that it's finished. I'm just gonna carefully pick it up and set it right down on the holder, on the base, and remove my butcher paper. And you could see on this butcher paper, there's a faint ink transfer just from the edge. Now this is extremely hot. Not only is this part hot, but as you can imagine, the metal key ring is very, very hot. So I'm going to actually pick this up and move it to the side and let it cool off while I set up this one. And then I'll show you how we peel off the transfer sheet and reveal the design. So here also you can see there's some ink that comes around, so you just want to have your surfaces protected at all times. So this is the other keychain blank that I wanted to show you, where it's the MDF or the board, the sort of wood board that has been coated on both sides with a special surface that can accept infusible ink or sublimation ink. There's a very thin, clear plastic coating on both sides, and you want to remove that before you apply your infusible ink. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put ink on one side first, leave the plastic coating on the back to protect the back from any ink overflow, and then we'll peel off this part when we do the second half. So I wanted to show you applying infusible ink to just one side of a keychain and then a two-sided product. So I've taken off the sticky and I'll get rid of that. Again, my Easy Press is set to 400 degrees for 60 seconds. And I've already cut the infusible ink transfer sheet into 2 pieces, one for each side of the heart. And I'll just repeat the process. It's important, I don't know if you can see, but there's little dust specks on here. You don't want any dust specks or dirt, scratches on your infusible ink, because they will inhibit or prevent the ink from transferring from here into your surface. So make sure that your transfer sheet is free of any dust or debris. So I'll just do the same thing again. Tape down. Now you might be wondering if you could just tape both sides at once, and you can't really, because then the transfer sheets will shift around. See here, I'm applying tape on this side to secure the transfer sheet on this side. If I had another piece of the infusible ink, then I would have to tape the papers together and the heart would just be loose floating around in there. That's not what we want. So it's better just to take your time and do one side at a time. So again, I'll flip it over. Also, I wanted to mention, I couldn't press this one at the same time as this one because they're different thicknesses. So I have to, if you have different thicknesses of blanks, you'll have to press them individually. So I'll just repeat that same process. Again, I'm going to carefully lift this off. You might smell some odor when you're using this product. It's important that you don't walk away, that you stay here the whole time. If you smell anything like burning or you see smoke, then you're going to want to remove the Easy Press and take a peek. So again, I'll take off my cover sheet, and this is hot even though it doesn't have any metal on it. So I'm going to set this one aside just for 1 second before we do the other side, and I will show you this one. So it's cooler to the touch. I'm going to cut away the tape. And remove the tape. And you can see already how vibrant the color is. Very different from what it looks like on the roll, right? This is that part that we cut from, the blue, the green, and the pink. Isn't that incredible? So now that we've got the infusible ink here, this one's ready for us to cut our heat transfer on our permanent vinyl, which I'll show you in just a moment. But let's first do the other half of this one. And I like to just sort of hold it by the edges, cut away, snip away the tape, sort of flop it open. Well, this one is a little bit hard to see. I don't know if you can see that design. I don't think you'll be able to. You might be able to on the other side. It's a black with some purple gems and different designs, but that's from this package. See how it starts with on a black background with red, orange, yellow, and then it starts to go around into the purple, and I guess I got some of the purple part. This is the Patterns Bright Bows Fairy Tale. That's this pack, so there's 4 different colors. So anyway, let me do the other side and see if I can get a better view. Remember about that clear plastic liner on the back. We've got to get that off without scratching the back of the blank. So you want to peel that off. Again, we've got our little, see this one has more of the blue and the purple on it. So I'll actually put it down a little, try and get more of the blue. And you can absolutely just tape over the part that you just did. And I'm going to just trim off a little bit here so we don't get ink everywhere. And again, I'll put this face down. This has ink on it, and if you pressed it right onto here, it would transfer a little bit of the ink onto your pressing pad, so you don't want that. And actually, I'm going to press it on a different part just so that the ink from here doesn't go on the other side of here. We'll put this back. And we'll just repeat this one more time. Okay, the 60-second time limit has passed. I'll move this over to the side again. Again, you just remember at all times these things are extremely hot. It's best if you're not doing this in a demonstration, you want to just set it aside and let it sit for a bit. There's no harm in setting it aside for 5 or 10 minutes. It's not going to ruin your finished product at all. So I like this part of the design a lot better. I'm going to peel off the tape real quick. You see how cute that is? It's got a little bit of a rainbow down here, a unicorn, another rainbow. This side is much too dark because you can't even see the purple and the black, but you get the idea. Both the back side is not damaged at all from taping and being on the bottom during the second press, and the top looks great. So the last thing I wanted to show you before we go over to Design Space and I show you how to cut out the names from permanent vinyl is we want to measure our blanks so that we know exactly how wide our text can be. So let me show you on this one, for example. Do you see how there is a little line of stitching around the outside? We want to keep our text inside the stitching. We don't want it to overlap the stitching because it's not going to adhere as well over the stitches. So while the entire keychain is 3 inches wide, we don't want to cut our name 3 inches wide because it'll go into the stitches. So I like to keep it a little bit inside the stitches on both sides. I'm going to say 2.5 inches wide is the maximum for our text. And then you want to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to say 1 inch. So we'll try and keep our text to no more than 2.5 inches wide and no more than 1 inch tall. That's a good way to sort of plan out your text before you go through the trouble of designing it, cutting it, and then you realize, oh, it's too small or it's too big. So for the heart, same idea. I'm going to want to keep it probably about 1.5 inches wide maximum and about 3/4 of an inch height, maximum height. So I'm going to make a note of those measurements and we'll head over to Design Space and I'll show you how to design the name and get it sized just right so we can cut it and apply it to our keychains. Okay, so here in Cricut Design Space, I've opened a new canvas and I'm going to click on the text box and I will type the first name that I want on one of the keychains. I'm going to do the heart keychain first, and that's a 2-sided design. So once I get the text size the way I want it and the font the way I want it, then I will make a copy of that text, and then we'll have both names for both sides. So I went ahead and wrote the name Lizzie. Now this is in a font called Poppins, which is free on amzn.to, and the style is regular. Since I know I'm going to be weeding this from permanent vinyl and the letters are going to be kind of small, I'm going to see if there's a thicker version, and there is, which I like better. And this is 3 inches wide. We made a note that we didn't want it to be wider than 1¼ inches. So there's 2 ways I can resize it. One, I can just drag until I get down to about 1¼ inches, 1.25, or I can go up to the text box, the size text box right up here, and I can adjust the size that way. So now that we've got the width right, then we want to make sure it's not too tall. And I wrote down no taller than 0.75 inches, so this size works. So what I'm going to do now is just make a copy of that shape, and then we'll have these two ready to go. And then for the rectangle one, which is a little bit longer, I think I'm going to use a different font. I'm going to write out the name Taylor, and there's a font that I really like, Magnolia Sky, also free on font.com. It's a really pretty cursive. And for that one, we made a note, it shouldn't be wider than 2½ inches wide. So let's go ahead and drag it. So 2½ is going to be 2.5. Again, I could just do this on the top if I wanted to. So this is 2½ that works, but we want it to be no taller than 1 inch. So let me show you what I'm going to do here. I'm going to go up here to the size box, and I'm going to unlock the proportions, which means I can adjust only one side of the measurement. I can adjust only the height or only the width. And what I'm going to do is just drag this up a little bit, which will distort it slightly. So maybe what we'll do actually is bring it in a little so that it's a little wider than the maximum so that we can get it to look nice. And there we go. I think that's pretty good. So I've got that unlocked, which you can see we want to go ahead and lock it again. That way, if we wanted to make it bigger or smaller, then the proportions that we want to keep are staying the same. So I'm going to get it really close to 1 inch. It doesn't have to be perfect. So now we've got our words, our text ready to go, and I'm going to go ahead and click the Make It button. And that's going to put our names onto our mat. So these two I know I'm going to cut from the same color vinyl, so I'll move them down a little bit, and then this one is going to cut from a different vinyl. Because I'm cutting from permanent vinyl, I don't want to mirror these. These are you're going to want them to be face up and cutting just the way they're shown on the screen. That's different from heat transfer vinyl, where you would want to mirror it and cut it in reverse. But since this is permanent vinyl, we're good to go here, and I will go ahead and click continue. And I like to use the washi sheet setting whenever I cut vinyl, either heat transfer vinyl or permanent vinyl. You can also use the vinyl setting or whatever setting is going to match your particular material. If you don't have washi sheet or you haven't tried it before, click up here on Browse All Materials and search for it. So I'll click washi sheet, and I like the default pressure for this material, and I'm all set. I'll go ahead and prepare the mats and make the cuts, weed out the letters, because I know you know how to do that already, and then I will show you how to put them on the keychains. So now that I've weeded both of the letters, both of the names, you can see that the Taylor one has some really thin lines in there. I had to be really careful when I was weeding. That's just the price you pay for these really pretty cursive fonts. You just have to be patient and go slow. This one was much easier to weed. So now I'm going to apply transfer tape on top so that we can pull the vinyl name off of the backing and then apply it onto our keychain. So let me see if I can zoom in a little bit here. So the transfer tape that I'm using, honestly, is from a giant roll because I make a lot of car decals for my son's sports teams. So you can use any transfer tape you like. I wouldn't recommend strong grip tape because you don't want this to be too difficult to get off of the transfer tape once you've got it on. So as you know, with transfer tape, you apply it over the decal and then you sort of squeegee it down and then peel it back. You want to peel it back slowly, and if there's any little parts that stick or don't want to peel up, then you want to go back, put it back down, squeegee it a little bit more. You're basically transferring the vinyl onto this piece of transfer tape. So I have this one done, and I usually reuse my transfer tape. So normally I would just put that name on the keychain and then use that same piece, but I have another little piece ready to go. And these ones, see that one? See how that one's a little bit, see that didn't come off with the eye, so I'm gonna press it back down. If you just go slow with these things, usually you can get everything off your transfer tape. It does require some patience. So I've got this one done. I'm going to cut the names apart with some scissors. And let's do this one first. Again, I'm going to need my little scraper tool. You could use a credit card. Doesn't matter. Normally I would do this down on the table, but I'm going to do it up here so I can show you. Basically just going to center the name on the background. This is a really pretty rose gold glitter vinyl that I love, and I'll link to that for you. There's a lot of really pretty colors. And I'll put this down and just go over it. You don't want to rub too hard, you know, to dent or to scratch the surface. There it is. And then I'm just gonna peel back carefully again. If you need to, put it back down, rub it a little more. But that's it. Isn't that pretty? And then the back of this particular one has the gold. So let me show you how to do the hearts. Remember, this one has two sides. So we will go ahead, do one side and then the other. This one I actually will put down here just so I can line it upright. And I'll put that there. We want to peel. Just peel carefully. There we go. And then I'll do the other side, and then I will show you how to put on the cute little tassels. And that's that. Isn't that cute? So these ones I told you I really liked because they come with lots of different shapes. So the heart that I showed you, they also come with these diamonds and also some circles, and they come with tiny tassels and some jump rings and the little keychain hardware. So the jump ring is already opened for us. You see that? It's already open. So I'm just going to use my 2 pair of flat nose pliers. If you watch my videos before, you know exactly how I do this. I hold the jump ring with one hand, and then I'm just going to slide it on slide on the key ring, and then I will slide on the tassel and slide on the keychain part. And holding this with one hand, I'll use the other pair of pliers just to close that jump ring. Isn't that cute? Super easy, and the tassel does add a little bit of fun. Let me show you how to do that on this other one. So this one didn't come with tassels, but I'm just gonna borrow a tassel from there. And also, I have some bigger tassels that I really like from Amazon. I'll show you on a different keychain once I get this one put together. So you can always buy the little tassel separately if you wanted to. See on this one, this is a longer tassel, and I'll link to those. Those come in a lot of different colors as well. So I hope you liked this project. If you did, I really hope you'll check out the other videos on my channel. I love to make and craft and share, and I think you'll find lots of other projects that I have that you'll want to give a try. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.